Welcome to today's Glow Heartfulness webinars. Thank you for joining us today, Rachel. How are you today?
Hello, Purnima. I'm doing really well. It's great to see you across the world.
Yeah. So today we have with us Rachael O'Meara. She is the author of Pause. She's a transformation and leadership coach who empowers professionals and learn to and build emotional intelligence skills to flourish at work. For the past 12 years, Rachel's experience in sales and client services at Google has helped her to have a pulse on what it takes to be successful and a leader. Her book Pause was named one of 2017's top business books for your career and was featured in New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and on TEDx stage in 2019. She received her master's degree in transformation leadership and coaching from the Wright Graduate University in 2020. This book has received a lot of praise, especially from Ariana Huffington too. Oh, that's a big deal, Rachel. That's wonderful.
I know, I was
Congratulations on
like,
your
there it
recent.
is. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. And endorsed the book when it came out, and I was very blessed to have met her.
That's wonderful, amazing. Thanks for joining us today, and I'm sure we are all going to learn and benefit from what you've got to say today.
Oh, thank you. And it's an honor to be here. I'm really excited to share more about the power of pause and why it matters now more than
Yeah,
ever.
yeah, especially. That's right. So, Heartfulness Institute sponsors the GLOW webinars, and GLOW is an acronym for Genuine Loving Outstanding Women. Heartfulness Institute teaches heartfulness meditation, which is a meditation on the heart. And a special and unique feature of heartfulness meditation is learning to meditate in the presence of pranahuti or yogic transmission, which is a special energy which the guide imparts. So let's begin with today's webinars. And one of my first question to you is, how did you learn about pause? What do you think is important about this unique quality of pause?
Yeah, thank you. And how I learned about pause was definitely a journey. And to give you some background, as you shared, I worked at Google. I've been there 13 years. I'm still there, but it wasn't always a great ride. It wasn't always roses for me at work. In fact, I was getting feedback from my manager that I wasn't meeting expectations, and it wasn't for a lack of trying. In other words, I was so wrapped up in my mental game of thinking about what was in the future. What do I need to do next? What's my to-do list? What was next in front of me? So I was in the future, or I was in the past, thinking about what did I do wrong, or what could I do better, or why did I do this way, or why did I say that? So I was never fully present. And I say that now, like half lovingly to myself, because it really affected my job, and it wasn't for a lack of trying. And so what I did was I realized that the issue was me. I was the common denominator here, and I didn't have any training in mindfulness or nothing in meditation or emotional intelligence. I really just wasn't present. And I didn't know how to be more aware, or what I needed to do. So what I did, instead of quitting, instead of leaving, I took a short leave of absence, and I got approval for that. And then in that time off, I decided to not fill up my to-do list, to not fill up my calendar. That was my default. I loved doing things, and I was, like many of you, I'm sure, achievement oriented. And so I did return to Google, but things were different. And I think for me, I took 3 months off, and that was a luxury. Most of us have that at all as an option. But at the time, I knew that I needed to be more present, because I was doing wasn't working. So when I did return, I just felt I was more aligned with my job, my strengths, and I went into the role, a new job in sales. So I changed my job, and I also chose to be more present with others, meaning I would connect with people and say, how are you, and really notice their response, or be noticing their eye color or what they were saying back to me in ways that I don't think I was that present before. And so all of that really taught me the power of what I call pause, because I knew I could change things, but I didn't know how. But I chose to look at it, to look at myself and say, what could be, because what I was doing wasn't working, and I needed to change things, and I didn't know how. So that's how I discovered it. It wasn't because I wanted to be mindful. It was because I needed help. I needed to get out of my own head. I needed to learn how to be present, meaning, like, I'm sure with your glow series, like learning how to be present and mindful, to experience the moment, and to know that that's okay, and that I was okay in the moment, and I didn't need to have it all figured out. And so I think I learned that in a 3-month period. But if I had had the presence, if I had understood what it meant to be mindful or present, I don't think I would have had that burnout. I don't think I would have had that mental tailspin, I'll call it, because I've been able to catch it earlier. I would have been able to know, hey, it's not working, and I need to share this. I need to acknowledge, feel fear every day. I need to acknowledge that I feel sad, and that was what helped me learn how to pause. And I call a pause any intentional shift in behavior right now.
Thank you for sharing your personal journey, Rachel. That was very nice of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, a couple of days back, we were talking about these 5 signs that you need to pause. Would you like to share that with our viewers? That would be so nice.
Yeah, actually, here, let me share my slides. Can you see these okay? Yeah. This is pausing is an intentional shift in behavior. So it can be mindfulness, it can be meditation, but it can also be a risky conversation or any pause. And to me, these are the 5 signs that you need to pause. I put these in the book, actually, because all of them happened to me. But as you read these, or I go through them, maybe make a note if you have one of these occurring right now, or 1 or 2 of them, because I think at some point we all have something happen that helps us, that is a prompt for pausing. So the first one is that you used to love your job, and now you loathe it, or you don't like it. The second one is your boss tells you it's not working out, or something to that effect. It might be something like, have you thought about doing something else? Right? Number 3, you have a technology intervention. And what this is essentially someone else really tells you, like, hey, why are you on your phone all the time? Or what are you doing on your device so often? Or it seems like you're always on Facebook or Instagram or something like that. And so you can do that, or someone else might say something. And then number 4, a challenge occurs, and the challenge can be an adversity. So something that might feel like a setback. Maybe it's a health issue, or maybe it's a new environment with our global pandemic. Like, I think we're all experiencing this one right now. And then number 4 is an opportunity appears. So there might be an opportunity to start a new hobby, or maybe do some writing, or something that really helps you feel energized. All of these things, I think, are great prompts to pause. And again, a pause is an intentional shift in behavior. It's not tied to the time or what you do. It's really about the quality of time and your presence and attention. Yeah. Oh, I can't hear you. Sorry, Purnima, I'm not able to hear you.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. You're on.
So that's so beautiful the way you've summed it up. Thank you so much, Rachel. And let me go over it in a brief way for the benefit of our viewers. You say that you used to love your job and now you loathe it. Your boss tells you it's not working out for you. And number three, you have a technology intervention. Number four, a challenge occurs. And right now it's the perfect example, which is happening universally to all of us. Number five is an opportunity appears. So thank you so much for those five signs, Rachel. The way you've summed it up is so perfect. My next question is, how, as a woman, can I pause? What gets in the way of pausing for me as a woman?
Yeah, so a few things come to mind. And the first one is, I think as women, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves in general to put others first, right? So before me, it was my family, my partner, maybe my kids or my parents or whatever it is. And especially women are susceptible to this. So it's a challenge to intentionally shift your behavior to know that you are the one who needs the most support. So we like to give. Women, I think, are wonderful, blessed givers. Like, we are very generous with our time and our effort and everything we can do. But when it comes to ourselves, we are usually the bottom of the list for giving. And so I think the biggest challenge for women is to know that pausing is in service to your doing. That's what I like to say. It's your being in service to your doing. And as women, we really need to make it intentional. Otherwise, it won't happen. And why it's so important is because when we have those intentional shifts in behavior, when we pause, we can feel replenished, we can feel refreshed and renewed. We just can expand our capacity even more. So instead of going and going and going and doing and helping and all of the things women are really good at us, I propose that we need to put ourselves at the top of that list with others. And it's not a selfish act. It's actually the opposite. It's a service for yourself so you can serve others even better and yourself at the same time. And I want to share a statistic with you because this is really important from the women's side. I mean, burnout is one of the number one health hazards across the world in the World Health Organization. And because of the pandemic, with the global pandemic, there was a study of 7,000 workers. And what they found was, this is a study from Mequilibrium, like Mequilibrium, from December last year, this June, that women's stress increased 20%, while men's job stress increased 1.6%. So if that doesn't tell us something, I think that's such a powerful statistic because we're taking more on. We're like having to being home with children and raising them while working sometimes. Maybe we're taking care of others. And the reality is this is a challenge and it's not sustainable. It's just not sustainable, especially in a pandemic. So it's really important to honor what you need. I can't say that enough. It's important to honor what you need and to ask for that, whether it's support or knowing how you can pause even daily. And I have a bunch of daily pauses that we can share later.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Yeah.
So, I was just wondering, what does it matter to pause in 2020? We've already paused, in a way. We have COVID-19 pandemic right now happening, and don't we have enough to worry about it? And are we not pausing already about it? So what does it matter to pause right now in 2020?
I know, right? I mean, are we not doing enough and having this crazy time? And so we are in the pause. I call it the global pause. This is the planet pause we are all on. We've pushed the we are in it. And so now we're in this new normal we're trying to create new norms, new structure, new rituals, and we still have the same demands on us, or we might even have more demands. Even if, let's say, the worst case scenario, like you lost your job, you still have to create the new normal, right? The reality is the ways of the world where we're on a 24/7 time frame. My husband calls it ASE culture. My husband, he works in technology, and you know, like, right, it's like we have this always on culture. And so the bottom line is we are each and every one of us has to choose different, and we need to change the system, but we cannot do that unless we each stand up for what we need or want in a way that feels good, basically. And always on isn't working. Even before the pandemic in 2019, when we had always on, it still wasn't working. Burnout is the highest cause of stress and health related issues that we have right now in the world. It also costs healthcare in the US at least 125 to 190 billion dollars annually, and that's for things that you probably are well aware of, things like high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even premature death before the age of 45. So these are all coming from being go, go, go. And now that there's a pandemic, it's like, go. I joke, but like this is, and I don't mean to make light of the seriousness of it, but it's true. And so this statistic here, where at least 70% of the people are, half of the workers feel overworked or want something different, and 70% say they dream of a different job, I think is still the same or even more with the pandemic. And I call this the pause paradox. I think it's such a fitting sentence for now the global pause paradox, where we're being forced to work from home or modifying our work, right? And so we're doing this in service to productivity and profits, and that's all good. You know, I think all of us are probably for success in business and doing a good job of things. However, we're seeing our health suffer. We're seeing these statistics in like a rise in burnout and mental health. And so when we like what we think in our mindset is that it's not okay to pause. I call it the like, we'll look like slackers. We won't look good unless we keep going and doing and doing and doing. So it's counterintuitive. We don't think pausing will serve us, and we actually want to look good. We don't want to look like those slackers that we think we might look like. So it's usually the last thing on our minds that we think we need to do. And that I want to share is that's the paradox. It's actually the opposite. What we really need to do is create and establish boundaries, limits, and expectations for ourselves, whether it's you or what you need to refresh and to feel good, to thrive. What I say is thrive. And so my invitation today is to consider pausing as part of the solution. And think of the word pause, P-A-C. It's like we think of passive time or doing something without intention, but what I encourage you to think about is it's an act thing, and that it's intentional. And so when we do this, and it can be so short as 30 seconds or 2 minutes at a time, it doesn't need to be a 3-month break at all. There's very much ways of pausing. And if you're on this webinar, you're probably familiar with a few in the world of the mindfulness space, which is great. So you're on the right track, right? Taking the time to prioritize yourself right now is a way to pause, and I congratulate you for it. So right now, for example, when we have these interventions of our doing time, we are more creative, we have more productivity, we feel like we can go back and do things better or even with more vitality. And so it's a good thing, I think, to pause, but we need to retrain our brains to think that way. And I think we're slow there. However, with pause, I think with COVID, it's actually forcing us to pause more for better or for worse, but it's really helping, I think, all of us, at least for me, really know what matters to myself. Like, is it important to spend time with my family? Yeah, it is. So how can I intentionally shift my behavior or create a boundary that says, on every night at 6 p.m., I'm spending an hour for dinner with my family without a device. So I think, yeah, we're pausing already. And I think it's interesting to kind of see that, because it's very true right now. Pausing in 2020 is what it's all about for me.
Yeah. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much. Yeah, pausing now matters more than ever, like you said. We were discussing some of the ways to pause. Would you like to share that with our viewers? You're muted, Rachel.
Yes, I would. Sorry about that. I have some slides for these, but I think this will be better to just walk through. And I think some of them are very short. And so I invite you, if one of these sticks and you like it, write it down or put it on a little piece of paper to try it tomorrow again, because this is how change happens. This is how we create the momentum for shifting over time. So maybe you want to feel more relaxed. You want to feel more rested. All of these are great practices. And so the one that I think is the most powerful is just starting with your breath. So this is the daily pause of a belly breath pause. If you would like to try it with me, let's do it. Are you up for that?
Yeah, sure. Would be happy
Yeah,
to
so
try it out with
everyone
you.
who's listening, why don't we do this together? So go ahead and put your feet on the floor and uncross your arms or your legs. And if you're in the middle of doing something, I invite you to take the moment, just maybe reorient towards your breath. And if you want to close your eyes, feel free to do that. And go ahead and put a hand on maybe your heart or on your diaphragm. Anywhere is good. Just take a deep breath, inhaling through your nose, holding that if you can, and slowly exhaling through your mouth. And open your eyes if they were closed. You can remove your hands. So my question is, do you feel different, Purnima? A little bit? Even that one breath? Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
that one moment.
Yeah, so just one breath is so good. And my thought is to work up to 10 breaths. So start with one, like we did today, and tomorrow you could do 2. But the key is to remember to do it. And you can do it while you're standing or walking. And here's another one that I think is a really powerful one, especially if you're at home. Maybe you're working at a table or a desk. But go ahead and take one of your hands and put it about like I don't know, 20 centimeters from your face. I'm working in the metric system for you. I hope that's about right. About this far. And go ahead and look at your hand. Just notice what are you noticing about your hand? Maybe the colors, the texture, different parts, different lines. Maybe there's a little bit of a wonder, like a awe. And then take a breath and slowly exhale onto the palm of your hand, just in the center. So like this. And then you put your hand down. And now that was called a micropause. Does anyone feel a little different after that, even different than the first one? If you do, you're not alone. And what happens is that literally takes about 30 seconds, I saw, and you're actually, I work a lot with neuroscience, so you're actually bringing in your sensory data from your brain, and that cool air on your palm is activating the sensory grounded parasympathetic nervous system, which is allowing you to feel a little more calm and relaxed. So you're bringing your attention from just the senses and the breath, and all of a sudden it's like we get out of that to-do mode, and it really changes our state, and it can really last a long time. So even if you do that once a day, that's a big, cool, great pause to try. Another pause I'll share, which I work a lot in emotional intelligence, which is really the study of being more aware so that you can be in relationship with yourself and others. And I have something that I've learned in my training, which is called the naming of feeling. And essentially, I work with 5 primary emotions. And if you want to write these down, you could just name one of these once a day. Just ask yourself, like, what am I feeling right now? And the 5 that you can choose from are joy, fear, sadness, anger, hurt. So if you write those down, joy, fear, sadness, anger, hurt, naming one of them right now in the moment, you actually have to go into your body. It's like you can't think of feeling, right? You can be like, well, I think I feel a little bit of fear. I don't really know what she's doing. Am I supposed to understand this? Maybe I'm a little angry, right? So there's no right or wrong answer, and there's no positive or negative, or there's no good or bad emotions. They're just all there. It's data for you. And a pause to just name a feeling, I think, is so powerful and big game changing. It doesn't mean you have to explain why you feel that way. It's simply acknowledging where you're at. And that's a huge gift of acknowledgement you can give yourself. It's a great pause. Do you want to learn one more? Yeah. Okay. So I think a lot of times we're in this space of devices. We're always on phones and laptops and digital devices. So I'm a big fan of digital device pausing. And actually, I think I will share my screen for this one because I've got some good stuff on this. But I encourage anyone to create what I call a digital device pause. And this is really allowing yourself to create the boundaries with your laptop or your phone, because we're so tethered to our devices sometimes, we forget how to get away from them. And we're actually wired in our heads, in our world, that we are triggering our reward center. Dopamine is getting infused every time we check our phones or we hear a chime or we're scrolling social media. And so we're actually wired to be connected to our devices. And the idea is that that's not really serving us, because that attention span, it's very, very small. We feel that rush of dopamine, but it's really quick, it's really short. And so it doesn't stay very long, as you probably have realized if you're ever been on social media or an email. Like, do you feel satisfied for hours? Not really, right? So the idea is to create a rule or a limit to help yourself with setting up what could work for you. And so here's a few ideas, but my thought is, and when I took my pause, I created some of these, but this is going back to setting yourself up for success. And it just starts with little things. So remember one thing, or actually ask yourself, what's one thing I could do differently that would help me digital device unplug? Like, what could I do? So it might be to limit your time on social media, 30 minutes a day, every day, or 5 days a week. You could choose to have your phone off at 7 p.m. And now all of our devices, many devices, have built-in features to track that for us. We can actually see what we're doing. But you can also just have rules. And that requires the pause of, like, intentionally saying what you want and saying, maybe we have dinner and we don't have any devices. We don't watch TV. We don't have a phone. We don't have a screen. And we're actually present with each other. And so all of these are just ideas. Maybe you have one more, or something that you might think of. And the idea is that do what works for you. It doesn't have something on this list. But I think it's really important to come up with those boundaries that work for you so that you can really harness what will work the best for you. And I have one more. Can I share one more exciting, which is about gratitude? Because I think this is something that is really important, and I'm sure many of you are practicing in gratitude some way. But I want to share a few statistics, because it's crazy how much this helps us. So you all know what gratitude is probably pausing is. So it's really just giving thanks for something in your life that matters to you. And when we do this, there's data. If we do this for 3 minutes a day, 30 seconds 6 times a day. So that's, what we just did with the hand, basically. Or just saying like, oh, I'm so thankful I watched that webinar. I'm so grateful for Purnima. She has such a wonderful way to share content. That a couple times a day, your mood will improve in 2 weeks, and actually you'll create new neurons, new neural connections in your brain that will be wiring and changing your actual neuroplasticity in only 2 weeks, and it will stay that way if you continue to practice. So there's really big changes that can benefit from practicing gratitude. And also there's data now with research that it leads to more joy. It's actually one of the variables that when there's in interviews that ask, how are you so happy, or what is it that makes you feel more joy? And they say it's because of gratitude. So there's really big correlations now. They're starting to get that in the research for why gratitude and practicing that is so key. And I find that fascinating because it's something that we could all do. I know I could do more of it, but do I remember to do that or forget to do that? Like, that's where the challenge is, I think. And I think it's just such a powerful reminder.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Yeah.
Okay, this was not in the questions list, but I'm just going to go ahead and ask it. If it's okay, we'll keep it in the recording. If not, we'll remove it later. So you mentioned that. What did you say?
I said, I'm game. That sounds good.
Okay. So you mentioned that gratitude is a very beautiful quality, which is going to help us a lot to pause. Can you talk a little bit more about that? How can gratitude actually help us to pause, or how can we, before that, how can we actually consciously incorporate gratitude as a precursor to pausing?
Well, I would say it's a great question. I would say, like expressing gratitude is pausing. It's a way of pause, and it's a mindful practice. Like, you have to be conscious and aware of what you're thankful for to give thanks to it. Would you agree? So it's already bringing us into a mindful state and being present for it. And how we can do that is to come up with a ritual, like a ritual that will work for you. So, for example, a lot of times there's a popular practice called a gratitude journal. I don't know if you're a person who journals or if we've got journalers out there, but there's research that even if you make a list of 1 thing or 10 things that you're grateful for in the day, that you will be grateful for, if you do that for 30 days, that's the minimum time for a new habit to happen. That's a powerful gratitude practice, and that's a pause. So that could be something that you do if you had to meditate and do that for 2 minutes after meditation. Our brains are in that theta wave, and they're feeling very relaxed, and we're opening up in our minds in a way that allow that to come in and feel deeper. You can feel it and resonate with it. I think that's a great practice to try. And even the simple act of saying thank you. So this is a gratitude practice, right? So you could say thank you if someone, we're not together a lot in person right now, but even say thank you after a meeting. Thank you for saying that. Or you can give a compliment to someone. That is something we may be thinking that might not be the right time or something like that. And the reality is it's all giving thanks. And every time you do that, that's a practice. That's something that you can be aware of. And something that's super simple you could try is to say thank you 3 times a day. And it might just be even to yourself. So you could say, like, I'm so like thank you for having this glass of water. I'm so glad I'm hydrated, and I feel like my thirst is quenched. And I could say that to myself. It's more powerful if you connect with someone, I think, to do it too. Like, you'll get benefits, and so will the other person. There's actually research that when you express gratitude in the workplace, productivity increases among teams 50%, 50. So think about that. Like, if we're feeling like we're overwhelmed, or we're like in our grouchy mood at home because it's our 8th month in COVID, if we actually say thank you, we're shifting our behavior. We're bringing in a new state change, and we're helping others. Like, that's emotional contagion. That's the term used in like the technical field, right? Where what we feel, we have an effect to have that ripple out to others. And each of you are that. And I think as women, we can be the light in that. We can be the source of emanating that out to others and also receive it. Like, don't miss it if it comes your way. Be that conduit, and a gratitude practice is a really great benefit, not just for you. And this is like, I don't wait. Do I? Yeah. So I do have a couple other statistics because this is important. There's 7 key ways that you can improve. It's like if you have a gratitude practice, it improves relationships, it improves your physical health, your psychological health. It increases empathy. So how your ability is to put you in someone else's shoes. You get better sleep. You improve your self-esteem, and it increases mental strength. So there you go. That's a couple of reasons why gratitude is so good.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rachel. That was
Yeah.
really beautiful, and thank you. I mean, we are grateful to you. So, you know,
I'm so grateful for you and your community. I love that you're here and I'm here and that we're sharing this information. I need more of this in the world.
That's very important. Thank you. So, Rachel, I'm a big fan of Daniel Goleman, and you know, something which he says has always stayed with me. Pause whenever you feel you're about to react. So, you know, going along that sentence, I seem to think that emotional intelligence could be a very, important quality which has a lot of relevance with pause. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, and I so 100% agree with you in that quote from Dr. Goleman, and it's true in the sense of, you know, when we create our self-awareness, that's the foundation of emotional intelligence. 4 components of emotional intelligence are self-awareness, and then managing your emotions, like knowing how you feel is the self-awareness, knowing expressing it is the relationship or the management of it. Then your interactions with others and how are you feeling, and then noticing how others are feeling is the relationship awareness. And then social awareness. So what are you doing with that in settings with others, and in an environment where we're interacting. And so all of that can't really be done if we're just knee-jerk reacting to everything, right? And Goleman talks a lot about how to handle triggers and stress responses. And when we are able to pause, when we're able to initially, even that naming a feeling is such a powerful builder, a muscle for emotional awareness. Like I'm feeling frustrated right now. That's anger. I'm feeling hurt. We're creating that pause, and then we can choose to react differently. And when that happens, like, we build our own resilience, which is our ability to bounce back from a trigger. And I've actually studied a lot with in the Goleman realm, and I coach with his curriculum, and I can't stress enough just how important it is that pausing, no matter whether naming a feeling, or you take that breath, or you say a gratitude because you count to 10 because you're like fired up. All of those are powerful ways to pause, but they really can change the course of action in a way that is more mindful, that is more in service to your being, instead of that knee-jerk reaction. And that's hard, right? Like, that's not easy. That takes us to really have effort, and our emotional triggers are so fast. A good fun fact to share is that our emotional response is, I would say, it's 8,000 times faster than our intellect. That's a statistic from Christine Comerford. But like, we're wired for emotional responses. So if we don't pause, we may end up doing something that's really reactive that doesn't serve us, because our brains are like wired for that, and it's hard to change it. But if we can change it, we can have more meaningful relationships. We can share deeply. We can build resilience. We can tell deeper truths, because we're not in that fight or flight mode, or deep reactive mode either.
Thank you, Rachel. The statistics which you said was really mind blowing. 8,000 times faster. Wow. When I think about it, I mean, like just wow. So, but as a normal average human being, the first response or the first reactive thought which comes to the mind is, oh, I don't have time to pause. So what do you do then?
Yeah. And I just got the statistic. So it's not 8,000 times faster. It's 99% of your responses are emotional, and 2 times it's double. Your emotions will be 400 times faster than your intellect. So 400 times is still pretty. Yeah. So here's the thing. I think we're all in that boat sometimes where we think we don't have time to pause. We don't have time to do X, Y, Z. And so my question I ask, which I like to think about, is, well, do you have time to feel like doo-doo or like, crap? And the answer is, well, if you do, then don't do it. Don't pause. But if you actually want to choose differently, if you want to change your life and you want to be on the path towards feeling more meaning and satisfaction and just feel better and not be a statistic on those burnout statistics like heart disease and everything, then it's pretty critical to maybe find a minute or 2 minutes to have some self-love and do that for yourself. Set yourself up for success. And I love that quote because that's from Gabby Bernstein. If I don't have time to meditate, do I have time to feel like crap? And I see that the same as pausing, because it's my choice. If I'm choosing to not create time for myself, if I don't want to 5 minutes earlier, or if I don't want to take 3 minutes while I'm brushing my teeth, and mindfulness, the brushes and like the sensory grounded data of what I see, what I feel, that's being mindful, being present to get off autopilot, then I will feel like that. I won't feel good. And I think like I've been meditating since that big pause I took in 2011, and I've gone through phases where I don't pause. I've gone through phases where I pause every day. Right now I'm pausing ideally 2 times a day for 15 minutes. And I can tell you, like, my life feels way better with the pausing. It doesn't have to be 15 minutes. It could be a minute. It could be that 30 seconds with your hand. So it's worth it. You're worth it. That's what I want to say. You're worth it.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah.
So I have a few questions from a few participants, and I'm going to club them all together. Basically, it all is pointing to how can parents pause more? Because parenting is a journey where you don't have the privilege, you don't have the luxury to pause. You have a lot of things happening. Kids are doing everything, and you need to be always around them. Parents of various parents of children of various ages, starting from kindergarten to teenage. So they're all asking almost the same question as how to pause as parents.
I love the question. And so just a disclaimer, I am not a parent, but it doesn't mean, like, I have friends who have parents, and I have clients that are coaching clients who are parents. And I think the bottom line is it comes down to, again, creating maybe what is it that you really need? Like, what's the boundary you're willing to set for yourself and to yourself first, so that you can give to your children or whoever you're parenting. We don't parent our children. We can be moms and dads to others. And so what I like to think of is come up with maybe one non-negotiable. So what's one thing every day that really can support you, that you feel energized by, or that you're feeling like blessed to do or to have? And it might be going outside every day for 5 minutes, or going for my morning walk. And then as a parent, we need to figure out how to do that, right? So if it's possible, who could support you on that? It might be a family member, or if not, then maybe your child can come with you at the minimum. But I think it's important to know that the principle still applies, that you're also still enough to matter to create what is intentional for you that you need. And a lot of parents, like a lot of people I work with little kids, it comes down to those boundaries again. And maybe it means if you're like, maybe you're working on your schedule, for example, and you block off time and you are very firm with that. And you actually tell people like you cannot meet at 5 p.m. Like that isn't going to work for you. And that's going to depend on everyone. But my challenge to each parent out there who's thinking about this is to come up with that one thing that would really serve you a day in 24 hours. And then come up with a plan on how that could be done. And it doesn't have to be every day. Just start with one day, like maybe a Tuesday, and you could figure out how to do that. And if that's not even an option, then you come up with like a list of maybe 3 things. And you could go through and say, okay, of these 3 things, which one would be something I could start with that seems that it could be doable? And start small. This is about long-term change. And if we try to do too much, oftentimes we aren't successful. It's either too daunting, it's too challenging, or it's impossible, and we get discouraged. So do one thing that you think could be reasonable. It might be to eat a healthy meal. It might be to do 10 sit-ups. It's and have it and make it for you. So it's about what would be that thing for you. And I did write an article about this for parents in Parenting magazine, but yeah, it's about really knowing that that it can be done and choosing that, because a lot of times it's the beliefs we have, like we were talking about, like, oh, I have to put others first. This isn't something I can do. Like we think we can't do it or we don't want to do it. It's not going to be the best thing. And I would like to challenge you to see what is the one thing that you could do then. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. It's a very simple thing when you think about, but it's something we always overlook.
Do you have any ideas? I know I had kids. What has worked for you?
You know, most of the times I put myself first. As selfish as it may sound, it's not coming from a very selfish place, because I feel that when I put myself first, everybody else is also first. So
Love that.
I think that,
yeah. And they are, right? Like they feel that. They're like, wow, my mom is rested. Like that's awesome. And play and be with her, and like you feel good. It's like a ripple of, I think that's so true. So well done.
And when I do that, I think they respect it, they honor it. So
good.
That's like nice. A ripple effect. When I honor their pauses, they honor my pauses. So
yeah. Oh, I love that you created that for yourself. Way to be an example.
Thank you, Rachel. So, you know, my next question is, when I'm already feeling burnt out, stressed, or overwhelmed, what do I do? It's from...
Right. So that is a good question, because I think we're all feeling that a little bit now, right? And I see it as a spectrum. So we've got like minor overwhelm, maybe a little bit like feeling like, oh, I can handle this, but I'm like, oh, can I keep handling this? And got like stress, which is like, you know, maybe more intense, and then burnout's like the extreme, right? So you've got this spectrum. And so all of us are on the spectrum, because we are, in some way, we all have stress in our lives, and there's actually healthy stress. But when we notice that we're moving towards that depletion, and by the way, burnout is the triad, like the definition of burnout is when we have like inefficacy in our jobs, we have negativism, and we also have like a depleted state. So when all 3 of those things are happening, that's when burnout happens. And so the key is, if you're feeling like you're heading in that direction, to be aware and self-aware, to say, hey, I'm heading, like the first thing is to acknowledge it, like I'm heading in that direction. What do I do? And so that's when, remember those 5 signs, you can go back to that list and then decide, okay, what could I work with a daily pause even right now for myself, and take a step back and honor where you're at, and say, maybe like ask yourself, do I want to continue to feel like this? What will happen in 1 week, 1 month, 6 months, like if I don't change this? And I think when we see it like that, no one wants to stay on that track, right? We don't see it because we're so focused, or we think we're doing different things. So I think the first step is to be aware, and then to call yourself out on it and say, I'm not heading in a good direction here. I need to change it. I need to change things. And some of the solutions are these daily pauses. I think are really good. And I've got a bunch of resources that I can share. The book has a lot of things in that pause. But the bottom line is to actually accept it and check in on 5 signs, because if you're feeling any of those, then you're probably on that road that's not that way. And I don't know about you, but when I feel burned out, like when I start to feel that exhaustion, because I get there too, which I'm not like a perfect human being. I work a lot, and I have to be really careful because I'm busy and I have a lot of things happening, and so I have to say, wow, like like put on my bells, like my alarm, and say, I'm not doing so good now. On a scale of 1 to 10, I might say I'm like my energy scale. So I need to dial it back and say, okay, what can I do to feel nourished, to feel like I'm putting myself first? And that's when I can decide, okay, I'm not going to be a computer today. Like Saturday, I do a lot of stuff with my business sometimes, and I'm just like, nope. Like 4 weeks, I've actually not done anything on the weekends. I've just done travel, and I feel really good. And now I'm like, all right, I'm ready. Like I'm super excited and pumped to work on some things because I haven't had it in a while, and I'm actually interested to do it and excited to do it. But it takes the time to step back and say, what's happening, so that you can move forward and do something intentionally, shift your behavior. Support on it too. No one can do it by themselves.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Yeah.
So do we actually talk about the free gift or not?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
I'll share my screen here.
Yeah. Okay, so let me...
There's this and then the other one, the raffle, but I can share this one too, because I think it dovetails into the question you just asked me.
So Rachel, you mentioned that you have a free gift for all the participants. Excuse me. So Rachel, you mentioned that you have a free gift for all the participants here. So can you tell us a little bit more about that free gift?
I can. Yeah. So, just talking about what you can do if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed. So this gift is called the Daily Pause Checklist. And so we went over a couple of the daily pauses, like the belly breath pause and the gratitude. And so this is a free checklist that you can get on my private Facebook group, which is a community of women, like-minded women like yourselves, who are interested to support each other in how you can pause and have intentional shifts in behavior. So you can get this checklist. I made a URL for it, tinyurl.com/pause sisterhood. And the group is on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, you can go right there and join the community. Again, it's private. So I'll just have to let you in, but you'll be able to meet other sisters. You can post in there. I do tips on every Friday as well, Pause Fridays. And I invite you to download this. It's right there on Facebook. You can go to my website, rachelomera.com, and there's a free gift there as well. But this is where to get the checklist. There's another free gift about overwhelm, which is kind of what we talked about today. Yeah.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much. So I'm just joining your group, and thank you so much for letting me in.
Cool.
So I hope all the participants can also, avail this beautiful resource from this Facebook group.
Yeah. And we'll be, and my goal is and have trainings in there. I know we're getting to the end of the year in November now, and I'll be doing some trainings in there, and there'll be more to come. I also have a podcast, so you can listen to me and guests on there that are in this realm of trying to be their best selves and learn how to pause and intentionally shift their behavior too.
Okay, I guess we are coming towards the end of this webinar, and
oh, I'm sad.
Give me a minute. So I guess we are coming towards the end of this webinar right now, and as promised, we are going to begin the experiential session of heartfulness, relaxation, and meditation. And I'm just reminded about a quote. Uh, I'm reminded of this sentence by Daji, the Global Guide of Heartfulness. He said, "Meditation teaches us to pause, to go within, to connect with universal love, and to resurface refreshed and full of potential." So I'm just reminded of this beautiful quote, and I think it's so relevant to today's webinar, and it's so relevant to actually the pausing of pausing as a human being, which you know a period of pause after it is done should result in a lot of potential. It should result in a lot of love. So I think meditation is a very good tool to pause, and let us have an experiential session of heartfulness, relaxation, and meditation, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So let me begin. Okay. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. I'll go through the heartfulness relaxation technique right now. Towards the end of this relaxation, I will lead you in into the meditation, and we shall meditate for a couple of minutes. Let's begin from the toes. Wiggle your toes, relax your toes, feel them relaxed. Relax your feet. Feel an energy from Mother Earth rising up through your feet. And as this energy rises up, it relaxes your legs, your calf muscles, your knees, your thighs. And this energy relaxes your hips. And as this energy moves up your body, it relaxes your stomach and gently, slowly, soothingly relaxes your lower back and your upper back. Your whole back is completely relaxed now. Slowly bring your attention to your chest, all the while experiencing this energy moving up and relaxing your chest, relaxing your shoulders, this energy moves up and relaxes your arms. As it moves through your arms, your forearms, your elbows, your wrist, palm, fingers, till the tip of your fingers, your entire arms are completely relaxed now. This energy rises up, relaxes your neck, relaxing your neck. Feel the tension, stresses, aches, pains of your shoulders, neck, completely melting and dissolving away. This energy rises up to your face, to your head, relaxing the muscles in your face, your jaws, cheeks, lips, nose, eyes, ears, forehead, till the tip of your head. Your face is completely relaxed now. Slowly bring your attention to your heart. Your heart, which is the seat of love, life, and joy. Feel the presence of the source of light in your heart. And let's meditate on this light in the heart for a few minutes. This light is pulling ourselves, drawing ourselves deep within, and we are moving into our heart and meditating on the heart. Let's continue meditating for a few minutes. If other thoughts rise up in your mind, gently ignore them and bring your attention back to the light in your heart, and let's meditate together for a few minutes.